Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Infinity, and this is Magnetize Yourself, where we talk about life, love, spirituality, and of course, the law of attraction. And I'm doing that intro because I actually haven't introduced myself in a video for a couple videos now, and I know that many of you listening here may actually be new to the channel, so I did want to make a little introduction. But as you know, if you've been following this trail of energy that we've been on here on the channel, things have been moving really fast. And because of that, I've kind of gotten into the habit of just jumping right into the messages without the introductory remarks and all of that. And in this video, we are going to be doing a collective energy update. And what I'm going to be doing is going back through a lot of notes that I've been taking in my journal for the last several days, because I've been doing a few videos in between these main collective readings, which, by the way, the main readings are on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And on those times and days, there is always an extended reading as well. And that extended reading for today will be available for you to watch either through YouTube memberships, which the memberships are brand new, by the way. So we'll be leaving a link to join YouTube memberships in the description box, but you can also watch the extended readings through Patreon if you are already a Patreon member. And as I said, this reading will be one of those that does have an extended version. I just wanted to let you know about that at the beginning because sometimes I forget to mention it until the very end. But I've been doing a lot of in-between videos just because of the amount of energy coming through, the amount of truly pure excitement is the best way I can describe it. I've not felt this level of exhilaration, passion, excitement that I've sensed from our beautiful collective here really ever that I can remember. And you guys know that I've been doing videos here for really almost 5 years now. And I have just not felt this kind of energy coming through prior. So, the first message, and this is actually something I wrote in my journal, although I didn't realize it would connect in this way, but the message I wanted to share is something that you're doing or that you've been doing is working. So I'm getting the word signal. Like there's some way that you've been sending out a signal into the universe, or maybe it's even more specific than that for you. Maybe you've been shifting your energy in a very specific way or cultivating a kind of energy that you are utilizing towards a personal business endeavor, creative endeavor, towards a specific person, connection, area of your life. I just feel like you've really locked into some kind of magic formula here or something is the best way that I can describe it. Now, I know we're going to be jumping around a bit. I wish you could see the pages and pages of notes that I have. And frankly, even though we've done entire 30 to 40 minute videos the last few days, a lot of those videos really only encompassed 1 page or 1.5 pages of these notes. And there are probably about a dozen of them that I haven't touched on yet. So I'm going to be jumping around a bit here, but I actually really want to start with what's been coming through most recently. So this would be the messages I was receiving yesterday as of when you are most likely listening to this video. If you're watching it the day that it's being posted, which would be February 24th. So the first thing that I want to say Well, it's funny because I was turning the pages, and actually what I was turning to was a message that starts with the words turning pages. That's what I wrote down. And what I visualized when I received this message was someone pulling an old dusty book off of a shelf and continuing to write in it. And it's like, I'm getting so many chills. That's been happening a lot in the readings lately. That's always a powerful sign of confirmation for me. But this person was picking up and starting to write on those blank pages in a book that hadn't been written in for a really long time. And the thing about where this story left off is it seemed to leave off like mid-sentence and very suddenly, like someone was in the middle of writing a sentence, then just suddenly stopped and shut the book and put it on the shelf and left it there. And it was a major cliffhanger that it had been left on, like someone had just completely trailed off and left something there. So I don't know for you if this is symbolic of a relationship. I'm hearing something had no closure, whether it was a relationship, a connection, an aspect of yourself, a dream, an idea. But for some reason, it had to be put on a shelf. And what I also wrote down is you weren't allowed to access it for some time, but it was kept protected and preserved. So it was never thrown away. Very notably, that book was always there on the shelf. It was never thrown away. But for some reason, for a period of time, you were not able to access it. You were not allowed to access it. It was somehow off limits. And yet during that time, in fact, I feel it had to be off limits in order for it to be protected or preserved for the future, which, by the way, that future is the now. Now, I feel like I need to emphasize that the future is now. What you used to perceive as, well, someday I'll write that book. I mean, that's kind of the metaphor, but maybe it's literal for some of you. Someday I'll share my music. Someday I will reconnect with that person. Someday this dream is going to come true. Someday I'll share this aspect of my authentic self that I'm scared to share with the world, but not yet, not yet. I feel like we were kind of in that holding stage that, okay, steady, hold it steady, not yet. It's still not accessible. And then all of a sudden, a switch has flipped and the future is now. I don't know why that wording keeps coming through. And what I wrote down is you are working with a huge amount of momentum right now, and you're most likely feeling this, especially if you are connecting with this channel, if you are aligning with these videos. You are part of this collective that is riding this really powerful wave of energy, and it's building this kind of momentum that you can dedicate towards your goals, your dreams, even things that you may have put on a shelf symbolically for some time. And as I was imagining all of this, you working with this momentum, you taking this book back off the shelf and starting to write in it again. I saw a golden heart-shaped locket for some reason, but the person I'm imagining is like wearing this necklace under their shirt. So it's not really visible. Oh, I'm getting so many chills. It's not visible externally, but they know that they're holding on to it. They know that they're wearing it. And I feel there was something you were wearing symbolically. You were holding on to, holding close to your heart, by the way, just like that locket, a keepsake, part of yourself. A secret dream maybe, or something that felt deeply connected to your heart, but very personal to you. Something that maybe other people didn't even know that you were holding on to. It wasn't visible to them, but that is coming into the light now. I feel like you're being guided to open up that part of yourself that you were keeping for yourself, that you were preserving. I'm hearing, is it safe? Maybe for a while you felt like it wasn't safe to share this part of you, to be authentic, to be open in this way. And I just feel this message coming through saying it's safe. It's safe for you to share this part of yourself, not because people aren't going to react to it, because I feel there may be a lot of people who do get triggered by this aspect of you, because there are people, and this is maybe a hard pill to swallow, but you know this already. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but there are people who preferred when you kept that locket hidden beneath the clothing, so to speak, when you kept that part of you secretly close to your heart, but didn't share it openly. And so what's happening at this time is you're really being called to notice how people are reacting to you, but not to be reactive to them in return, to really create space in those counter reactions. Because in that space, I'm getting is really being emphasized as so important. It's being like highlighted and bolded here, because some people preferred, in fact, a lot of people preferred when you kept some part of you close to the heart that they thought maybe wasn't even there, that they could maybe pretend wasn't there, that maybe they'd forgotten about, maybe they assumed you'd forgotten about it. You never forgot about it. You were protecting it. You were preserving it. You were keeping it close to your heart. You were waiting for the green light signal from your own guides, from your intuition, to tell you to go ahead and share this, that it would be safe to share, that it was time to share. And I feel like that future is now. The waiting is over. And the quote, I feel like I already said this, I can't remember. There's been so much coming through, but the quote was, everything comes back around eventually. But the kind of follow-up quote is, but it never really left you either. So it's not even that it's coming back around. It looks that way to others, but it's also that it's been buried within your subconscious. It's been held within your heart. It's been something being protected and preserved for a long time. And what I'm getting is now that that is being revealed, whether it's a dream, a part of you, a path, a vision, something is becoming more visible and more public, and people are reacting to it. And this is actually taking me back to something that I channeled a few days ago. And let's see if I can find it. Maybe I don't even need to find it, because maybe what I'm meant to remember will come from my memory. But what I was thinking about and what I had channeled is something is being made visible or public in a very particular way because it's meant to be. And you may be questioning or trying to almost negotiate with this fact, wondering, well, maybe I don't have to come across so strongly. Maybe I can dilute myself or this dream. Or, oh, I'm getting so many chills again, this piece of art. Maybe this is too honest. Maybe this is too vulnerable. Maybe I'm getting the word cringy. Like, is this too cringy? Cringy is the word that people who are keeping their hearts closed and afraid to openly express themselves use to label the pieces of art that creators are creating from the heart. Don't be afraid of putting yourself across authentically. And in fact, something that came through today is the more brave your creations are, the more power they hold. So if there's something that you're contemplating sharing, doing, or creating that feels like it requires from you a level of bravery, learn to yourself, try to reprogram yourself that anytime something feels like it's requiring a greater amount of bravery or courage from you, but it's also bringing up that passion, that what that actually indicates is that finished work or piece of art or whatever it is holds great power because it's calling forth that bravery from you in order to share it. And so what I was picking up is that you're being called to notice people's reactions without counter-reacting in the same manner, meaning to be thoughtful in your counter-reactions, to create space, to make sure that your counter reactions are coming from your heart to keep your energy pure, even if the reaction initially from the person was not necessarily coming from their heart. And more than likely, it wasn't. It was coming from their fear. But as I channeled in a recent reading, we are no longer fighting fire with fire. You know how to play those games. You are intelligent enough for those games. You are eloquent enough. You are tactful enough. You have the ability to fight fire with fire, but you're choosing not to. And that is your superpower, because you're choosing to fight fire with unconditional love. I think someone typed that in the comment section. So thank you for that beautiful comment. By the way, if anything here is connecting, of course, I would love to hear from you in the comments. Just a little side note. And please do feel free to subscribe to the channel if you're connecting with this so far. I would love to have you here. I love seeing this collective grow and expand and have this global ripple impact that we're having. So thank you for being part of that. Just a little plug there. But so you are meant to be observant of how people are reacting to you, because people are revealing themselves to you. Now, this doesn't mean that there isn't space for transformation. In fact, what you're going to often find, and we've talked about this a lot, is there's a cognitive dissonance in many people around you where they admire you and they want to support you, but they're struggling with their own fear. And so they're conflicted. And sometimes that fear gets the best of them, and they may be triggered to say something or to lash out or to react in certain ways. And then you might even find some of the same people saying things like, I don't even know why I said that or where that was coming from. I'm so sorry. And you're going to notice this because you are triggering so much light out of people. But inherently, to trigger light, we have to trigger the collapse of the darkness, or really the darkness being brought into the light. That's how we expand our consciousness. And that's what you're doing for others. In fact, I'm hearing things you are doing and creating are touching people emotionally in a way they don't even fully understand, that they can't explain, but that is deeply intriguing. If I had a word to describe you, and I just saw 1717 on the recording timer, but if I had a way to describe how other people are looking at you right now, the number one word would be intriguing. You are deeply intriguing to many people and energies, both people from your past who might be becoming aware of what you're doing, and people from future timelines who want to offer you powerful opportunities, or who want to support you or connect with you some way along this journey. And speaking of this way that you affect others, this was kind of a funny visual that I got. But I almost got that you are sort of like a reverse Medusa. We think of Medusa as being able to turn people to stone with a single glance, but you do the opposite. You reanimate people who have emotionally turned to stone. So people who have completely disconnected from their emotions, you, in a sense, bring them back to life. You reanimate them emotionally. And there's something about your eyes coming out here. So you might be noticing recently in your reality the power of your gaze, your eyes. You may even notice this with strangers, as odd as this sounds, but I know this is going to connect with someone who's had this experience. You might notice that sometimes you lock eyes with someone and you almost feel this like exchange of energy where they are like almost looking a little bit surprised all of a sudden, or confused, or like they've been jolted in some way. And you might even feel this, I'm hearing, especially in your solar plexus, almost like a butterflies in the stomach kind of feeling. Because what you're feeling is you through, it's not your physical eyes. It's that, I mean, the cliche goes that the eyes are the windows to the soul, but it's that there's a lot of truth to that statement, because your eyes are one way, a powerful way that you actually do convey your core soul frequency. Now, the voice is another. So you could be operating through some kind of voice activation or through eye contact activation. These are the two main ways that we transmit energy, transmit the frequency of our soul in a clear way to other people through our voice and through our eyes. And so there's something about either hearing your voice, maybe you're a singer, maybe you're a speaker, maybe you have a YouTube channel or a platform where it involves speaking or using your voice in some way. But this also could be, again, your eyes, being out in public, people meeting your eyes, but especially if there's that combination, if you're talking to someone while holding eye contact, for example, I'm just getting that is like the double whammy for you. And again, the effect is it brings people back online emotionally. It reconnects them with their emotional experience. And as we know, not everyone is prepared to emotionally self-reconnect because there may be things, emotions that have been stonewalled in a sense for a reason, that have been turned to stone so that they don't have to face them. And you don't only reanimate the emotions that we would label as positive, but anything they've been burying that they may label as negative, because it's all part of being alive and being human. And by the way, I feel like you are entering this phase. I just saw 2112, lots of number synchronicities. Maybe those are showing up a lot in your life too. You are entering this phase of your life where, and we've said this, but you're meant to be truly knowing what it's like to feel really alive. Almost like you're returning to this more childlike, playful, open-minded state where the world looks different. People say that seeing the world through your childhood, through the eyes of a child, it always has this different kind of color and vividness and texture to it than when you're an adult. And some people say that's about aging, but really it's about energy. And it's about how we are societally programmed to take on many, many, many heavy limiting programs and belief systems that in a sense weight down our energetic field and limit our ability to perceive life through that full-blown lens that we do when we're a child. This isn't about age in terms of Earth years. In fact, this collective is really on a path, and let me tell you, this is powerful. Many of you are on this path, whether you realize it or not consciously. You are showing others what is possible at any Earth age. You are showing others just how irrelevant those numbers are through the way that you are. Well, we talked in the last reading about breaking through the fear barrier. A lot of those fear barriers are set up around aging and around particular Earth ages. And so you are breaking through those fear barriers by showing other people what it's possible to accomplish at any quote unquote age, because again, that's so irrelevant when it comes to energy. You're showing people that they are unlimited. But you're doing that not by telling them, but by being that, by being unlimited, by seeing yourself as your energy and not your age, to really inspire people to go after their dreams, to love themselves deeply, to share themselves confidently, to start new things, to feel a passion for their life, regardless of how long they've been on this earth and whatever prejudices from society come along with that. You are really deprogramming a lot around all of that, is what I'm getting for someone listening. But where was I going with this? I got on such a tangent of energy there, but there's a lot that we're weaving together here. So many people are feeling deeply affected by you. And okay, it's 24 minutes in, but I feel I've finally reached the point in the reading. Sometimes we have to do this unraveling process to get to like the meat of the reading, the heart of the reading. And this is something that actually came through in a recent channeling session that I did. I didn't actually share it online, but I was just free journaling and writing down information coming through. And what came through is they don't know if they want to be you or be with you. This may even be the title of this video because this was just resounding over and over and over in my head. This was so important for someone to know because let me tell you, people are being really confused by this reaction that they're having to you. Again, it's literally bringing them back online emotionally. It's like, I don't know if I'm in love with you or if you're just teaching me how to love myself more deeply. I feel like a lot of people have this reaction to you where because of how you touch them emotionally, especially if given, for example, their preference in whether they date men or women, and if you align with that preference traditionally, I'm getting that if you are typically a kind of person physically that they would date and you're having this emotional effect on them, they're literally seeing you as like this unicorn being where they can't help but assume that the feelings that they're having for you as you reanimate them emotionally have to be romantic in nature. So I do feel that you are generating a lot of that potentially romantic interest. But I get that this can generate a lot of confusion as well, because it's almost like people don't quite know how to intellectualize the effect that you have on them. But that's also because you are meant to be a spiritual experience for others. You aren't meant to be intellectualized. You aren't meant, in fact, you are an enigma. You can't be understood through the mind, through the intellect. You can only be understood through the heart, innerstood, I guess we could say. You can't be understood through the mind. Someone has to go through their heart in order to get you. So I'm getting that at times people can be really confused by their reaction to you, but I'm also getting that when I say they don't know if they want to be you or be with you, I feel there actually could be, in some cases, an extra layer to this where, and for some reason, I'm getting a very specific situation. This might just be for a small group of people, but I'm picking up that there may be someone that you interacted with in a romantic context in the past, or maybe this has happened more than once for you, where they felt deeply intrigued by you and they could sense on some level that you were reanimating them emotionally, bringing them back to life emotionally, as we've been describing. But then it's almost as though as they were feeling this emotional charge from you, they also started to feel this triggered sense of jealousy and almost like a competition with you. And so I'm getting that sometimes you may have found yourself in scenarios romantically where the person, your romantic interest, may have felt this really strong pull to you emotionally and this romantic feeling towards you. But then it's almost like that starts to sour a little bit with this strange undercurrent of jealousy or of competition, because again, it's like they don't know if they want to be you or be with you. Like they're so inspired by what you're doing and it's so enlightening to them that they start to feel that lack within themselves because they start noticing the distance between who they are currently and who they want to be. Now, this also happens because of that phenomenon that we talked about in a previous reading, where you have this ability to project people's higher self onto them. You don't even do this intentionally. You just are able to see the good in people. You're able to see through to the core of people. And initially, this will create this energetic high for the other person. It will pull them to you really strongly. It can be addictive to be around a person who is so profoundly capable of seeing us in our highest vibrational form of self. And that's what you do for other people. But I get that when that energetic high sort of comes down, there is then the dust settling and this feeling of, wait, I have a lot of work to do to fully physically embody that person that you see me as, that you inspire out of me. And if they choose to focus on the negative side of that distance, they can actually begin to be in a lack mentality. And again, almost feel this sense of jealousy or competition or not feeling good enough to connect with you, ironically, because you are seeing and bringing out the best in them. So this is just something to be aware of, and maybe something that you yourself have experienced. Let me know in the comments if that was for you, because I do feel that may have been for a very specific group of people here. But what I'm getting in general, and this will go for romantic or non-romantic connections, and I'm getting it could be either or, maybe both for some of you. These reactions people are having to you as you're waking them up emotionally, I'm hearing specifically to pay attention to the people who watch you, who are aware of you, who see what you're posting and doing, but are radio silent, who don't ever comment, who don't ever reach out, who don't ever ask you about your projects, your ambition, your creativity, the things you're doing, the things you're putting out in the world so publicly. People who especially do that and then seem to want to keep tabs on you. So people who are aware and have access and clearly see everything that you're posting, everything you're sharing, everything you're creating, and maybe even frequently want to talk to you, want to keep tabs on you. But it's almost just jarringly noticeable how they don't seem to bring those things up in a positive way or comment on them positively or ask you how things are going or support you. I'm getting that this is really, really important to notice because there seem to be people who want to contain you or want you to be in some kind of box. They want to have a kind of access to you, but they also don't want to see you being this most full-blown version of yourself. And people don't always do this maliciously. Very often this is subconscious because you are almost like this supplier, this storehouse of good energy, of creative energy. And what I'm getting is, for a while, there were certain people who thought they had you in a box. Now, they never really did because you were never shutting yourself off. You were protecting and preserving your dream and listening to your intuition and waiting for the signal. You were waiting for the right time to share more of yourself with the world. But it's almost like there were people who became very settled, almost smug in this energy of, okay, so you're kind of in a box here, you're kind of contained. And again, I don't really sense a maliciousness from this in most cases, just that they thought they kind of had a handle on you, which is crazy to imagine because you are this limitless, expansive goddess or God force level kind of energy. To assume that anyone had a level of like control or management over you is really unfathomable. But someone or some group of people, or maybe certain people in your life, kind of thought that they had you in a box because, again, that locket, going back to the locket symbolism, you held something close to your heart, but it wasn't really visible. So they could kind of speculate or suspect maybe you're still holding on to that dream or that vision or that creativity or that part of yourself, but they didn't really see it out in the open. But you've felt that push lately. You've felt that signal. And I just saw 3333, which represents the spirit realm. And in this context, it means that signal you felt within yourself to share this aspect of you more publicly or more visibly or in a different way is coming from the spirit realm. It's coming from your spiritual self because it's your time, because this is a shift on your spiritual path. And what I'm getting here is there are people feeling like they're losing control and trying to like regain a measure of control over you by the way that they're reacting against you. And it's so important that you continue to hold your ground and trust this shift in your spiritual path. Trust the feeling of passion that it's been bringing up within you, and even trust the visible shifts and results that you're going to start noticing in your life, because this isn't a path that you're going to have to walk on blind faith indefinitely. I'm getting that you may already be starting to notice as you start living more in alignment with this shift in your energy, where you're sharing more in this new way or in this more visible or public way. I don't know why I keep getting something about it being more visible or public, but as you do this, you will actually see signs, synchronicities, or notice opportunities, things seeming to physically align in your actual tangible world. And those will be signs to you that you're on the right track here. But what I'm getting is you are not to negotiate with this intuitive shift in your path, meaning to tell yourself, well, maybe I can accommodate this group of people that feels kind of threatened by me if I just kind of go back into my cave. Yes, that cave was important and it served its purpose, but it's sealed off now. It's now restrictive for you. That cave that was once a necessary cocoon would now feel like a prison to you, because you're meant to fly. You're meant to be free. You're meant to share some things, some aspect of yourself, some part of yourself in a different way. And you've been doing that and people have been reacting to it, but that's not a sign to stop. It's actually a sign that what you're doing is working. It's making ripples in the quantum realm. It's reanimating people emotionally. It's touching people in a beautiful way that, yes, at times can be triggering, but ultimately is meant to be transformative. So I'm going to go ahead and close this first reading here, but we are going to be continuing to the extended. So if this has been connecting, you can listen to the extended through YouTube memberships. I'll be leaving a link to join in the description box, or if you've already been a member on Patreon, you can listen there as well. Do feel free to leave me a comment if you have noticed any aspects of your own personal story in this reading. I always love hearing from you in the comments section. And as I've been saying, I've just been feeling so many really groundbreaking, radical shifts happening in our collective here. So a huge thank you to all of you for the role that you play in all of that. I am so excited to be on this journey with you. And I am looking forward to connecting with you again in the next video.